Welcome to the Monday show of Illini Drive on 107.1 WPGU. I'm your host, Brendyn Jones, joined as always with our producer, Nithin Reddy. Nithin, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk some Bears, a little less excited to talk about the finals, but I'm overall doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm okay. My left arm is sore. I got my flu shot today.
Yeah. It's sore, really?
Yeah, it was sore already. I went there at 3, I think, at Cersei.
Are you good with shots? Because I'm
what?
terrible with shots.
I'm okay with shots. Like, I can live with the soreness, but it is.
Well, I mean, just like the actual needle going in.
Yeah, I just don't look at it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've had to do some blood work and all that stuff, and I just turn away. But yeah, make sure y'all get y'all flu shots. You don't want to deal with the flu in this scary time, these scary COVID times. But yeah, I'm excited. You know who else should be excited is the Illini football team. The schedule slate for the first weekend of games came out, and Illinois at Wisconsin, Big Ten opener. Friday night, October 23rd at 7 p.m. on Big Ten Network. Obviously, it'll be in Madison. Kind of hyped up. I guess they're trying to hype up this little rematch from what happened last year. What do you make of it, them getting the first game?
Oh, it's exciting. I mean, under the lights, you got a Friday night game. We've all seen, well, at least the two of us have seen Illinois football games on Friday nights, and it's really fun. It's just a great experience.
Yeah.
Granted, this is at Wisconsin, so it's going to be a little different. I wouldn't be surprised if Wisconsin really tries to get out to an early lead, especially after last season when the Illini pulled off one of the biggest upsets in college football history.
Yeah, it'll be an intense game. I think that the Illini really have to come out ready to play. They're not going to get a sleeping Wisconsin team, which is kind of what I think they got last time. Somebody who they thought they would come into Champaign and kind of steamroll them. Obviously, the Illini did not let that happen, but it's a game that you're going to need to come prepared for, because you know that that Wisconsin team who Illinois kind of knocked them out of the national championship rankings with that loss, that bad loss. They're kind of ready to get some revenge, and I think it should be very exciting. But I also think this isn't a game that is out of question for Illinois, especially because Wisconsin starter, forget his name, the starting quarterback I'm looking for right now, is now out, and they will be.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah, right. Their starting quarterback is out, and they will be playing with their second string quarterback. That's tough. That's tough to start the season off with the second string quarterback.
Yeah, and he's a freshman, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Also, you got a different backfield for the first time in a while. Jonathan Taylor, main running back for a lethal Wisconsin running game the last 3 seasons, where Taylor was the best back in the country pretty much every season. That will be another key offensive piece that Wisconsin is losing. I'm interested, though, to see if this O-line just stands as tall as it usually is, because the whole Wisconsin football team seems centered around running the football and specifically dominating the line of trenches. And they have a lot of fluctuating parts so far. So I want to see if the Illini can maybe disrupt what Wisconsin wants to do, specifically running the football early. Yeah,
I think that's really what's going to have to happen. This Illini team's going to have to go in there and be disruptive. That's kind of what you saw in the second half of the game when Wisconsin came to Illinois. You saw that fumble by Jonathan Taylor late in the game, and you saw that interception. You're going to have to go out there and really disrupt what Wisconsin's trying to do. This is going to be their first game back, but they're at home. I don't think there's going to be any fans. I know coronavirus concerns are growing in Wisconsin. It is not a great state to be in right now, but you're going to have to really go in there and disrupt what Wisconsin's trying to do. And then on the offensive end, you're really, really, really going to have to, find out your identity quick. This is a team with, obviously, Brendyn Peters is back, so that's that level of consistency, but a very deep receiving core, a very deep tight end core, and some new running backs that you haven't seen that will be carrying the weight of the running attack that you didn't see last year. So it'll be very interesting, and We obviously don't know what this offense is really going to look like. We know that they're very talented, and you know they have potential, but obviously potential only works if you put it together. So it'll be very, very interesting to see, how they get there.
Absolutely. And just the fact that we're going to see a backup quarterback starting in game 1 against Illinois, that excites me because freshman quarterbacks especially, they make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a part of the game, especially when you're just transitioning from high school football into the big stages. And granted, Illinois isn't the biggest and baddest team in the world, but they were, was it number 1 in forcing turnovers last year? Or
they were up there.
I
don't know if they were number 1.
They're one of the best teams in the country at forcing turnovers. Can the Illini get a few interceptions, keep them in the game? Maybe Brandon Peters can lead the team for a couple late game drives, which I feel fairly good about this offense if the defense can stay in it for a while.
I think that's what it is. I think this defense really has to. Obviously, we talk about the rotation and how new this offense kind of feels, even though there are a lot of returning pieces. Brandon Peters, Josh Bebe, Luke Ford's obviously going to be his first time playing, but he's been in the locker room. He's been at practice for the past year. There's going to be new turnover, but there's also going to be consistency. So the defense really has to put them in good positions. They have to give them good field position. They have to force those turnovers. They have to, force Wisconsin to punt, because if Illinois has to go and score on every drive because Wisconsin does that to Illinois' defense, it's going to be very tough for this team to keep up with the Wisconsin attack.
Yeah, really focusing on time of possession in that first half, because Wisconsin wants to hold the ball and they really want to put you under pressure going downhill every single play, and Illinois can't afford that. They got to get stops. They got to force third downs, 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 6s. These positions where Wisconsin's going to have to let their young quarterback make a play.
And it's interesting that you say that they have to force these 3rd and longs, but more importantly than that, they have to make sure that they don't let Wisconsin convert on 3rd and longs. I feel like that was a big theme for Wisconsin last year, finding tight ends, finding that check down route that could convert that 3rd down when the first looks weren't really working out. And if Illinois comes into that time where they're playing, they force a 3rd and long and Wisconsin gets a conversion. They force maybe another 3rd and long, another conversion. That's when you start to see these elongated drives end in touchdowns, and it's very, very demoralizing. Even more so than maybe like a big one-play touchdown, because you kind of think that's a fluke. But if Wisconsin's just beating down on this Illini defense and converting 3rd and longs, it's going to be a very, very long game. So like you said, yeah, this Illinois offense really needs to have a lot of time of possession, because they need to work out a lot of stuff, and that really all falls on the defense.
The great thing about this is that it's week 1. You're going up against a completely different situation than normal with Wisconsin. And if you're the Illini, you have a lot of guys at this point that you trust. And while they may not be All-American level players, there are a lot of solid, talented players that can compete in the Big Ten. And I think if Illinois just trusts themselves and is aggressive early, if you're trying to bring blitz packages, you're forcing Wisconsin to throw it deep, and then you're allowing Brandon Peters to do his thing, drop back, 3-step drop, find a quick out on a slant, or just these simple things that we saw the Illini excel in last year. If we can build off of that, I wouldn't be surprised if they went in and got a win. I mean, there's no fans. That's a huge deal. There's no fans.
Everybody's working on this crazy schedule that has been flip-flopped a million times in the last 5 months. Everybody's working with this stress. It's a different experience. It's a new experience for anybody or for everybody. And I don't think it would be the most surprising thing if Illinois goes in there and pulls out a win. I mean, it is what it is. This has been the craziest year, not only for sports, but just, pretty much everything. If you're Lovie Smith, you're Rod Smith, what are you looking for these next 2 weeks? What are you trying to implement to make sure that this team goes in there as ready as possible? We've seen Lovie talk about it a few times, that this team is not ready to play Wisconsin, but that's why they have these next 2 weeks. What are you looking forward to make sure that they're ready?
I'm looking for, I've reiterated it a bunch already, but early success. Not being down 21-0 through 7 minutes of the game. I'm looking for Illinois to be in a one-possession game at halftime, be competing for both of these games. I mean, we understand that Wisconsin and then Minnesota, they're going to be two tough opponents.
Mm-hmm.
But if Illinois can stay in these games and give them a chance, you never know, especially in a weird season where not everyone's particularly ready to play.
Right,
and
exactly.
We're having all sorts of shuffling going on. If Illinois can just give themselves a chance to win, because that's all you really ask for as an underdog.
Mm-hmm. For me, I think it's making sure this defense has a real bend don't break mentality.
Okay.
I feel like with this Wisconsin team, you can give up field goals, right? You can have them drive down the field as long as you're stopping them, because you can't expect this defense to go out there in game one and just be dominating this Wisconsin team who was very, very good last year.
They're not going to allow 6 points in the first game.
Right, exactly. It is. I mean, that just is what it is. They're going to have to be very flexible and be able to be resilient on defense. Wisconsin's going to get a bunch of big plays. They're going to get a lot of conversions. You're going to have to be able to sit there in the red zone and be like, okay, how do we stop them now so that it's 3 and not 7, right? So then you give Brendyn Peters in the offense a chance to either go get that 7 or go get 3. That's very, very important. And I think that's just the biggest thing you really got to stretch, or you got to stress to the defense in this coming. And then on the offense, you just got to take what's given to you. I know with the amount of receiver talent that this team has, you always kind of want to go deep down the field, but you got to really take what's given to you in this type of conference game that's going to be competitive, that's going to be hard hitting, that's going to be. It might be cold in 2 weeks. It might be snowing in Madison. You never know what it is. So you really just got to take what's given to you and be ready to just adjust that offense, because we really don't know all that it's capable of right now.
Yeah, I think we do have some faith in the passing game, just because the receiver talent is phenomenal with this team. It's the best it's been since maybe like A.J. Jenkins when he was at Illinois. I mean, it's fantastic. What do you think about the running back situation? Because it does seem, as we've talked about in the past, running back by committee that we're going to get, and we're going to get a lot of different backs getting opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for everybody. Obviously, you hope Mike Epstein stays healthy, right? You hope that he's able to contribute. You've seen him freaking working out with Frank Gore and everything on Twitter. You want to make sure he's there. You want to get Chase Brown in there. Jakari Norwood had some success last year. Reggie Love obviously is coming in. You want to see what he can do. You're going to want to get everybody involved, and you're going to want to find everybody's strengths and use them in different packages, use them in different situations. And you want to keep the defense guessing. Obviously, I don't think we have that premier back that's really going to just carry you throughout the game. So in that situation, you just have to make sure that you have a talented running back for every different situation, and be able to throw really anything at defenses. Yeah. But yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, definitely. That'll lead us to our first break. When we get back, the NBA Finals concluded yesterday. LeBron James is now a 4-time NBA champion. We will talk about what that means for this season, next season, and what that means for LeBron James' legacy when we return on Illini Drive, 107.1 WPGU. Welcome back to Illini Drive on 107.1 WPGU. So LeBron James, still that guy, huh?
Yeah.
So last night,
Yeah.
Last night, if you didn't see, LeBron James completed his 4th NBA championship. It was pretty much over by halftime. I think I turned it off because they were up 30.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't watch it. The Heat looked tired. They looked gassed. And the Lakers just looked fresh, and they were hitting their shots, and they were out rebounding, and they were dunking, and everything that you want the Lakers to be. They were that last night. Props to the Heat. They pulled off something that a lot of people didn't even see them happening. I think I didn't have them coming out of the second round, and they made it to the finals and pushed it to 6 games. But yeah, LeBron James, man. Reactions. It's hard to say anything negative about what LeBron James has done this season, in the past 10 seasons, whatever you want to say.
If you followed him, you know how good he is. He's the second best player of all time, at least. Potentially the first. I don't have him first, but he's the second best player in mine. And I think he cemented that status last night, because there were still some doubters saying, all right, maybe Kareem, maybe Bill Russell. It's hard to argue winning 4 titles in the best era in basketball.
Yeah.
He's done it in a way where he's just dominated every season. Aside from last season, when obviously they didn't make the playoffs, it was 8 straight finals. Now it's 9 in 10 years, which is impossible to imagine now, where there's 30 teams that play in the league and 15 teams in each conference. So you have to be the best team in your conference every year for 9 out of 10 years. That's improbable to think. And also, it's the fact that he's done it with a variety of teams. That's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to LeBron James. He does things on the basketball court that just make you question the capabilities of the human mind. Like the things I see him, like the balls I see him pass, the things that he sees that nobody else sees. And I try not to get, we're going to get into it a little bit, but I try not to get into the whole legacy thing because I like watching LeBron right now. It's just so insane, the things that he does and how crazy it is. And I think he said today or yesterday that a 35-year-old LeBron James like him today could beat a 27-year-old LeBron James, 27-year-old LeBron James who's winning, his first NBA finals and who was just insanely good on the Heat, who back then could have.
Do you think that?
Do I think that?
Yeah.
Not in a one-on-one, but in a team game, yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily think in a team game because what was it, 27? So that's 2012.
Yeah.
He was a really good shooter that year. I think that was the year he shot 40% from 3. He's still he has things that he's evolved with his game.
That's the thing about LeBron James is that he's always been a great passer, but what I see him do now is just so much more intelligent than just anybody else on the court. I can think of only a few players that I've seen. And obviously, like Magic Johnson, I never watched him live, but I see highlights. Larry Bird had some great passes. Nikola Jokic is really, really good. Chris Paul can
Luka
fit.
Doncic.
Luka Doncic is in there. But LeBron James is still ahead above all of those guys.
You think he is?
I think he's above everybody that's playing right now. I think he's the best passer. I think that he's rivaled with the crazy assists of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, who are both phenomenal passers. I think it's just insane how good he is, and I'm with you. I still think he's the second best of all time. But I also think he's breathing on Michael's neck. He's
getting close. It made me think more and more about what he'd have to do to pass Michael.
Yeah, and we can definitely get into that because that's what I've been thinking about probably for the last 3 years, but definitely in the last 24 hours. But yeah, the Lakers. It's so hard to sum up what this last 3 months has been in the bubble, right? It's so hard to sum all that up. But as we get to the NBA offseason, there's, I think, a lot of questions around the league in terms of what it's going to be, when the start date will be. If this was a normal season, it would already have started. What free agency could look like. What are you expecting out of the next 3 months for the NBA? Because I feel like they don't even know, right?
I think it's fair for them not to know just because we don't even know when the start of the season is going to be. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that tells us how the flow of this offseason is going to go. We know the draft, I think, is
November, I think.
Is it November?
I think early November.
So, a few weeks. We already had the lottery, so we kind of are going to get
November 18th.
Oh, so we still got a month before the
Yeah.
draft, which is very different from usual, where it's about a week after the last finals game. So I think they're doing it to allow for combine and workouts.
Yeah, they're allowing a lot of stuff. I know also Adam Silver just gave like pretty much every NBA employee like a whole month off and like a bonus. It was really nice. It was generous, but like it's earned. Yeah, they've been working. I mean, NBA is definitely the most successful in terms of bringing back their sport. So kudos to them and what they were able to do and put on a finals in a bubble situation, which I think in terms of like, we came into the bubble thinking that it would be a detriment. And I think it was really, really good for basketball. I think there was a lot of storylines to follow. There were a lot of good moments. There were a lot of star emergences, and there were a lot of collapses that we really like to see. There was just a lot of drama, and it was all intensified by the bubble, and I really appreciate that, and I think they did a phenomenal job, and I think this was a really, really good playoff.
Yeah, and they had a nice flow throughout the bubble.
Yeah.
When you're getting there, it's just getting used to the teams, getting used to practicing games and playing for the first time with your guys in a while. And in that, you're getting all these like little teeny stories with the fishing and golf and seeing all the different vlogs from Matisse Thybulle to JaVale McGee and Troy Daniels. And it made you have a bit of FOMO because we're still inside quarantining.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're watching our favorite guys, just waiting for them to get out on the court. And then the season starts, and you get those intense 8 games where Devin Booker's going off. The Phoenix Suns go 8-0.
That seems so long ago.
It does. And then when Damian Lillard was scoring 50 points for, 3 straight games.
Yeah.
Then we finally got to the playoffs, and that's when it just felt like this is the final stretch, and we're going to push through it. And the thing I loved the most about the bubble was that we just got, I think, the best basketball I've ever seen, because it's guys just in their element. They're still extremely competitive, and they're still playing as a unit, but it felt almost, as everyone said, like a pickup scene, because you're getting guys just having these one-on-one battles. You're getting Jamal Murray shooting amazing because there isn't the pressure of fans everywhere. There isn't cameras and lights flashing every 2 seconds. You just get to focus on playing the game. And that was kind of the beauty of the whole bubble.
It's literally just basketball and hanging out with your friends.
Yeah.
That's literally all it was. And it was so cool to see, because you got to see these guys, and obviously they'd rather be with their families, and obviously they'd rather be outside. But you got to see them in an element where they're literally just playing the game that they played growing up, that they love to play, back in their own element, and hanging out with friends and going fishing and going on Magic Mountain and doing all these things, in Disney World, where they, it was really good to see. And I think it was really good for basketball. And obviously you don't anticipate this ever happening again. Knock on wood.
I had a joke at the beginning of the bubble with one of my friends that, like, this would be an interesting thing to do, like, every 25 years, like they do in the Hunger Games with the protocol, where, like, you just have this thing designed where, all right, we're going to go for a bubble playoffs every 25 years just because that's where the best basketball is.
That's so funny.
That's what you're going to sign up for when you're playing in the NBA.
I love that. That's so funny. That'd be interesting. But obviously, I don't think any players would sign on for a bubble next season. Maybe in 25 years. But definitely not next season.
I don't even know if in 25 years. They've seen,
I feel like it has to be everybody once in their career has to do a bubble playoff now.
Oof, that'd be so much fun. Like getting a Zion Williamson, Luka bubble basketball 15 years from now or something, 10 years from now.
Wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really good for basketball, and I'm excited to see what the NBA has in store for the next 3 months. Obviously, I think they're just going to let the draft come, and then obviously talk about stuff and figure stuff out. But they're definitely, they've really been on the radar for a whole year now since the season started last October. So I think they're really just trying to take it as they come with and really figure this thing out as well as they can. I think most likely they'll be in a situation where there's just no fans and they can play in their home arenas, much like baseball was this season, much like football is. So we'll see about that. It is a little different because it's an enclosed space, which some NFL stadiums are, some baseball stadiums are, but all NBA arenas are closed space. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see if they shorten the season. Just so many questions we'll see about free agency that haven't been answered and will still be answered. So
you don't even know what the cap's going to look like next year.
Have no idea about anything.
Right.
So it'll be very, very interesting, but I'm excited. Just means more basketball content to talk about.
Yeah. And what's great is that the NBA is completely a 12-month sport now. Not like football where you kind of wait till the beginning of the season, 2 weeks before preseason, and start talking about it. In baseball, it even feels like halfway through the season is when you start talking about it. The NBA, there's always something we can talk about. We could talk for the next month about just who our top prospects are, because this is a really, really intriguing class, because we don't know a lot about this class and there's a lot of question marks. There's going to be a lot to debate, a lot to talk about, and I'm excited that it's going to be a little bit of a side dish we'll have while football is coming, because we know football's got a lot of stories too.
Yeah, I'm excited. Speaking of debates, though, LeBron James, maybe the biggest basketball debate of all time. Maybe it'll never reside, but I want to talk about LeBron's finals performances. Mm-hmm. So this is obviously added to the list of was 3, now 4. And I think every list is pretty similar in terms of which performances are the best. For me, in 4th place, I have him winning the Thunder, his first finals. I have that as 4th. Averaged 29, 10, and 7 on 44 minutes. He obviously beat that young, talented Thunder team and in his first title. His 3rd, I have this one that he just won. Averaged 30, 12, and 9 on...
Wow, you have this 3rd.
I have this 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah. On 39 minutes a game. Obviously, this bubble is really emotionally stressful, but I also think that this just isn't the best team that he's ever played in the finals. Okay. And then I have number 2 is the Spurs winning 7. I think that was very impressive. Mm-hmm. The Spurs are obviously that dynasty, what they were, and obviously just closing as LeBron kind of closed that door, but then obviously win the next year. And then first, I don't think it's really a debate. I think that's probably the best finals performance of all time when he beats the Warriors. Yeah, comes back down 3-1 to that 73-9 team. Probably the best 3 games of basketball consecutively of all time, ending in that Game 7 victory. Is that something you have, or you got different?
No, mine's fairly different.
Oh, wow, okay.
I'd say at number 4, I have the Spurs title because there's a lot that he did wrong in that series. I mean, his Game 7, he was phenomenal. I mean, I got the numbers right here. He put up 37 points, 12 for 23 shooting, 12 boards, 4 assists. I mean, he was fantastic down the stretch, ready for that team to ice away that game because the Spurs were creeping back late.
Yeah.
I still have it 4th because he ultimately misses what is the game tying shot in Game 6, and he's a Ray Allen.
That is true.
So right off the bat, it feels like he shouldn't have won that title. But also, it went to 7, and it felt like he needed more support than in any other series to win that series.
To me, I think it's the back-to-back. The fact that it's the second one in a row, and not a lot of people win back-to-backs. And it's against the Spurs, which I think is the second best team he's ever played in the finals. But I understand what you mean. Like, gotcha. LeBron, that wasn't his best performance. I understand what you mean.
Number 3, I have OKC. He was still great in that series. He won it in 5. It was a younger team where it felt like they probably should have gone to 6, potentially 7, but they blew a couple games early in that series. But he's classic LeBron in that series. 28 and 10, 10 and 7. I got this series as number 2 because statistically it's probably the best series. I mean, I'd have to compare the numbers with 2016, but I mean, if you just look at what he's doing on a nightly basis, 25 points, 33 points, 25 points, 28 points, 40 points.
It's wild.
Points. He had double-digit rebounds in 4 out of the 6 games, double-digit assists in 5 out of the 6 games. He was unbelievably good. He shot, I think, 59% in the series.
Yeah.
Granted, it helps that it was in the bubble, so his numbers are going to look a little better, but I still think this Heat team was very good. And Jimmy Butler had 2 of the best performances in finals history.
Yeah.
Yet, the Lakers still won the series in 6, and really, besides Anthony Davis, they didn't have a lot of reliable players. Like KCP floated in and out. But aside from that, Rondo had great Game 6, kind of same thing as KCP floating in and out. Alex Caruso was terrible in the series. Kyle Kuzma had his moments, but wasn't fantastic. Dwight Howard was just there to punch people, basically. I was still very impressed with LeBron. And then number 1, of course. Yeah, it's 2016. Like, no question.
I don't think there's a question. I think that it's head and shoulders above every other finals performance he's ever done, and it's probably the best of all time.
Just the last 3 games
he's insane.
Are absolutely insane. I mean, let me pull it up. Okay, so last 3 games, 41, 41, 27. He averages 36 points per game, 11.7 rebounds, 9.7 assists. He plays 44 minutes a game, shoots 50% from the field, 42 from 3, and he's going against a 73-win Warriors. That's That's unbelievably
It's wild.
good.
It's wild. Obviously, we talked about it a little earlier. He's still both of our second best player of all time, which is like weird because he's so good. And it like literally, I think about it every day. Like, is he there? Is he actually there? And I'm just kidding myself. And I still don't think he is. What does Bron have to do to surpass Michael Jordan as GOAT status? Because I look at it as this, right? I think that GOAT status, it kind of has to be consensus, right? It kind of, like, I feel like
the thing is, it's never going to be.
It's never going to be, especially now because of how good Michael Jordan was. But I think it has to be, everybody has to come to a point where it's like, okay, yeah, right? And I think there will always be, like, especially as time goes on, the people that hold back. But I think that there's one other instance in his career that I could have been like, okay, LeBron is better, right? And it's if he would have beat one of the KD Warriors teams.
Okay.
Which is obviously such an unfair thing to do to put against them because those are that's the best team.
He went 1-8 for a reason.
Yeah, they're probably the best team ever assembled. They're just unfairly good, and those are also outside of LeBron's first Cavs days are probably his two worst teams. When you had,
I don't think 2017.
Well, they weren't that bad, but I'm talking about 2018 was just
2018 was horrible.
Was really bad.
That is close to Anderson Varejao and Bobby Gibson 2007.
And that's the team that would have cemented it more because of what LeBron did in the Eastern Conference side of the playoffs, where he beat Indiana in 7 and Boston in 7 and then swept the Raptors, which was just an insane stretch.
But there is still there's always going to be an asterisk on that it's probably the worst Eastern Conference.
It was bad. It was bad.
At least in this century.
But I think what LeBron was doing individually and in the clutch was just insane.
It was, yeah.
His highlights were insane. If he would have won in 2018, I think I would have put it over him. But now I think it comes to the point where if he ever wins another one, unless it's just some fluke trash team that he has to play, or he does it in a way that it's just like if he
I don't even see how that's possible. Though.
Right, I don't. Yeah. Or I don't even know. He gets freaking Kawhi Leonard to join the team. Or he's ever as
or
long
it's
as
he's 42.
Yeah.
He's the third option.
As long as he's the best player on a finals winning team, I don't see how I can look at him and be like, okay, he's not the greatest of all time.
So he needs one more in your mind.
Yeah.
So right now, I feel like there's still a substantial difference. And by substantial, I mean just a clear difference that MJ's ahead of LeBron James. And that I can see that because 6-0 still does matter.
It does. I think
6 rings do matter.
Very overlooked. People always say oh, that's all you have, but that is such a crazy stat that nobody ever in the history of basketball has ever touched and probably will ever touch again.
And he basically took 2 years off of his prime.
Could have been. I don't know if he would have won 8-0.
I don't think he would have.
Probably could have won 7.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, it's insane. And the big thing for LeBron is that his era is much harder than Jordan. I think 5 becomes very, very debatable. I think now there's still a difference, but if you told me he wins another title and you say LeBron's the GOAT, I'm like, he might be.
Yeah.
6, I think, that's clear.
Wild.
That's clear.
And it's wild that he could get there.
Yeah.
And he's 35. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about LeBron forever. He's just such a great player. Obviously,
Can we give our guy some credit? Jimmy G?
Well, you know how much I love Jimmy so much. And I think that I don't know how he can get back, especially because the Eastern Conference, I think, just gets so good next year.
Does it, though?
You're not going to – this Heat team is not going to beat that Nets team, I don't think.
I'd wait to see it first.
If KD comes back fully healthy, I don't know.
What do we think about the Clippers? We thought the same thing about the Clippers.
That's
we
fair.
thought only the Lakers could stop them.
That's fair. But I also think Kevin Durant healthy is better than both of those guys.
You got to realize, though, KD's coming off an Achilles injury.
I know.
An Achilles tear.
I know. That's the whole thing is if he comes back healthy, which I hope he does. Obviously, KD's just a phenomenal talent to watch. But I don't know. I hope that Jimmy Butler is still – this Heat team is still as good. Obviously, you have a couple guys getting more developed, more better in Duncan Robinson and in Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn. Hopefully they can make some signings. I don't know if there's any guy that can come that literally just puts them over the edge. It's a pretty weak free agency class, unless Anthony Davis is just like, yeah, let me jump ship right here and go to the Heat, which I don't see happening. I think he stays with LeBron as long as LeBron stays in the Lakers. But hopefully they can get some supplemental guys to really help them out.
I don't even know if they need it, though, because I feel like if they just sign Dragic, they'll have a chance. Because
as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, the Dragic injury was huge for that team. And
it was.
It's going to be something that we forget about in 10 years and just be like, oh, LeBron clearly won that series. But I think it would have been a lot.
I think it could have easily gone 7 if Dragic doesn't get hurt. Because even he played last night, he still didn't look 100%.
Yeah, and those minutes.
And, of course, I mean, he tears a muscle in his foot. Yeah.
Those minutes in the end of the first quarter?
Yeah.
He's running screen and roll where they can't defend it. Because he's getting to the basket easily and he knows how to throw that lob. And Jimmy could not do that every single play. He had to get some ISO possessions, some high post touches to get more of the scoring.
Dang. Injuries suck, man.
They do.
Injuries suck. That'll lead us to our second break. When we come back, the Bears beat Tom Brady in prime time. Shout out Nick Foles. I guess Brady forgot that it was 4th down or something.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the future for the Bears in this season, what that means, being 4-1. When we come back on Illini Drive, 107.1 WPGU. Welcome back to Illini Drive on 107.1 WPGU. So Tampa Bay came to town on Thursday, and it did not end well for them. That defense, after the end of the first quarter, looked, I think, as good as I've seen them look.
I'm glad you brought that up.
2018.
That gave me a lot of confidence.
So much confidence.
Especially the D-line. The D-line was
pass
phenomenal.
rush was insane.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack should have had 3 sacks. He ended with 2.
That was so
bogus. That was the softest roughing the passer I've ever seen. Khalil Mack didn't put any weight on him. Literally just brought him to the ground and made sure he was sacked. And then as soon as the favorite part of the game, as soon as the flag flew, Tom Brady how do you talk? How do you think it will end well for you if you try to talk like smack to Khalil Mack?
The weird thing is, it's a lot of ego because Tom Brady's arguably the GOAT.
Yeah,
a lot of people say he's the GOAT.
But it's like in any other situation, you're not looking at Khalil Mack and how scary he looks, and you're not going to say anything.
Yeah, but I mean, you're Tom Brady.
I think you just take that 15 yards and go because it showed the next time.
Brendyn, we're normal people. We're not Tom Brady. We can't just.
I want to think that I'm. No, I'm not.
Come on, man.
No.
We know that. I mean, you're Tom Brady. You have you have an ego. You have some sense of arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't know if you saw the Sean Merriman. It was like an interview he did with CBS Sports a while back.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, Tom was yelling at me when I sacked him one time. Like, how dare you sack me?
Yeah.
And I think these guys, certain guys, when you win and have a certain amount of success, you're just like, you can't do this to me. I'm untouchable.
Well, you saw it the next time Khalil Mack sacked him. Khalil was in his face.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I know that even if he's mic'd up, Khalil Mack's a great person to be mic'd up. But even if he's mic'd up, you'll never hear what he said because
is he a good mic'd up?
I like his mic'd up a lot.
Well, the thing is, a lot of the stuff he says is just it's very generic.
Maybe especially it's just because I love Khalil Mack.
I do
Maybe
love
I'm
Khalil.
Blinded.
I do feel the same way you do, but the thing with Khalil Mack is he doesn't really talk that much. I mean, I know he's tried to, and that's been a big thing for this season as being a leader. But a lot of stuff is just like, let's go, baby. We got this. Like, it's the most basic stuff I hear from Khalil Mack, I feel like.
Have you ever watched Kung Fu Panda?
Of course I've seen
Tell me I'm tripping, or does Khalil Mack just look like Tai Lung? I've thought this forever. If you're listening, I just think they have very similar body shapes.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think that they're both very ferocious and powerful.
There are guys, like, I think Russell Westbrook looks exactly like a turtle.
Yeah.
There are so many examples of this, like Coach K looking like an actual Blue Devil.
Yeah. It's wild. But Khalil Mack, if you're listening, don't hurt me. But I think that you look like Tai Lung.
Well, he can look like Tai Lung. Akeem Hicks is our Chicago Bear.
Oh, yeah,
so,
he literally looks like
it works
bear.
well. It works well.
I love it. I don't want to say great game from Nick Foles, but very solid game that I like to see. there weren't a lot of bad mistakes, and when the time was on, like he really performed. There was this video that I saw Emmanuel Acho break down that little lob pass to David Montgomery that got them the first down.
Beautiful throw.
Where Shaquille Barrett was going to blitz, right? And then he motions David Montgomery in, and then Shaquille Barrett's like, all right, like he calls off the blitz. He says, I'm going to follow him. Obviously, that won't work with the play. You need that first down.
Yeah.
Nick Foles then tells Allen Robinson to rub Shaquille Barrett, make sure he can't get that little chip shot in, hikes the ball, dimes it right through the hole in 3 different defenders, gets the first down, extends the drive. That's what you need, right? You just need a quarterback that knows what to do in those situations. And I don't ever think that Mitch Trubisky could have looked at that and called that adjustment.
Totally. And with Nick Foles, I didn't feel it was even a good game. I thought it was an okay game.
Yeah.
I mean, the interception wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
It's just Allen Robinson has started to have this weird thing.
Where he just gets picked off.
Yeah.
And not even like it's his fault that he gets picked off, but like just 50-50 balls are just not going his way.
Yeah.
He said in the interview, I think yesterday, he's like, that's the last time I'll get picked off this year. And
he said, he even tweeted right after the game, after he had 90 yards on 10 catches, like a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Like, I got to be better than this. The thing with Nick Foles is that you said it perfectly. He just makes the right plays.
Mm-hmm.
And I've yet to see him really have a bad decision. He's had bad throws. He had some really bad throws against the Colts, and that's the main reason why the Bears lost. But against the Bucs, he makes the right decisions. He looks to take shots when he needs to. He knows he has Allen Robinson and he has Jimmy Graham downfield, so let me go to their strengths. Let me go up top. Let me give them balls that they can catch, which is phenomenal. The thing I want to see though more is the run game, because it was an immense struggle to run the ball, and I think it affected Nick Foles a lot, because when you're dropping back to pass every single time, there's a reason why only the 5-yard routes are open sometimes, and that you're not able to push the ball because they know you can't run the ball. Maybe it's just that the Bucs have a really good D-line, especially with Shaq Barrett, and we might see a little bit of a difference against the Panthers. But I need to see a game where David Montgomery just gets like 24 carries for like 102 yards.
14 carries on 35 yards, average of 2.5 per rush, only 1 touchdown. It was a tough rushing game for them. I think not having Tariq Cohen, because using Cordell Patterson as a running back this year has been off and on, very successful early, not as successful as of late. David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen, those are 3 guys that can get you 3 different types of runs.
Yeah.
So you really have any option. And without Tariq Cohen, I think that's the most limiting. That's why this run is limited so much. You just don't have that guy that people are scared of coming out of the backfield, and people are scared of taking the rush. And that's kind of what's hard. Obviously, Tariq Cohen will be out for the rest of the season, so that's tough. But I still think that this team is good enough. One of these days, the rush is going to break, right? 2 weeks in a row, they faced really good defensive line. And one of these days, David Montgomery's going to have a good game. He's a good running back. We saw what he did in college. We saw what he did his rookie year. I think it'll work out. Jimmy Graham's touchdown. Jimmy Graham might make a Pro Bowl just off red zone.
Ooh, interesting.
He already has 3 red zone touchdowns in 5 games, maybe more.
How many tight ends make the Pro Bowl? Is it 3 usually per conference?
I think so.
So
he has 4 touchdowns already.
That is
only 17 receptions. I hate ESPN ads. Only 17 receptions on 169 yards. But it has 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, the yards. I mean, he has to get to like 700 yards probably to be a Pro Bowler.
What if he has like 15 touchdowns?
Okay, I don't think that's going to happen. But if he
don't know the way that they use him.
That is true. They just target
he won't
him.
get 15. 15's a stretch, but like
they do the Gronk Mike Evans thing where you just put the guy out wide.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 3rd and goal from the 4-yard line. Let him run a fade route. Let him get that one.
That's what they do. I'm sure they just look at Jimmy Graham. They say, you get a body on the smallest guy, have him think that he's covered, and we're going to throw it up, and you just catch it. The yards, Jimmy Graham obviously isn't what he was 7-8 years ago, where he's one of the best tight ends in the game. He's not really that threat outside the red zone, but I think he's just so good in the red zone, and that's what we need is that big red zone target that we missed with Trey Burton that we didn't have. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about Jimmy Graham. Wasn't too high on him when he didn't jump right on some of those passes. Arguably, that was Mitch's fault, but I think he's turned out to be really, really solid, and I'm excited for this team. Any last thoughts about the future?
I feel, a lot more positive than a week ago. I think that's just sometimes what happens in football when you come off a really demoralizing loss like that Colts game where the offense looked like the worst offense in the NFL. And then you get a game last week where they lead a game-winning drive. And then they force Tom Brady to make some dumb plays and into a turnover on downs. There's a lot to like. There's still a lot that this team has to improve. I still think it looks like a 10-6 team just because the schedule's a little easier and you're going to get chances to have 50-50 games like upcoming Carolina. You're going to get Minnesota in a few weeks. Tennessee, we have no idea what's going to happen with their team and based on what they'll look. But I really, really am interested in 2 weeks from now when we're going to get the LA Rams because
Monday
the
night.
Rams look like, what was it, 2018 when they went to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff is making the right decisions. Sean McVay's running great plays. They're doing a backfield by committee. It's working. The defense looks good. Aaron Donald looks like the scariest player in the league. The Bears, to show me that they can actually have some success this season, they have to beat that Rams team or go in and give yourself a good shot.
Yeah. Well, they beat that Rams team the year that the Rams went to the Super Bowl.
Yep. They demolished that team.
Yeah, so looks like a good look. Hopefully they can beat the Rams. Obviously the Rams that defense is pretty good, which is an understatement. But yeah, it is what it is with the Bears. I'm still not 100% convinced. But they play Sunday at noon. They had one positive test on their practice squad, which was a little scary at first. You never want to be in that situation.
And they got some false positives.
Really?
Kind of messed with their practice schedule.
Yeah, definitely. But they're back in practice now. Hopefully everybody stays safe. I know I trust the Bears in following the protocol. I don't think the Bears are the Titans. So, hopefully we get football on Sunday and hopefully everybody stays healthy. But yeah, I'm excited. I know Nithin's excited.
We still got football this week. We got 2 games left. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Just because of the weird Tennessee Titans.
Who plays tonight? It's the Saints and
are the Saints the team that play the most on Monday night? Because I feel
they
like
always play.
Always.
It's the Saints and the Chargers, isn't it?
We should really know this.
Yeah, we should. We're bad. Yeah, Saints and the Chargers. Justin Herbert has been looking really well, and then
second most passing yards through 3 games, I think. All 3.
And then tomorrow we have the Titans and the Bills, right?
Yeah.
Presuming that they still are allowed to play that game, which I think they will be.
I'm hoping it gets. Oh well, yeah. I'm hoping it gets canceled because I'm losing in fantasy right now by 10. I got Keenan Allen, and the guy I'm playing's got Josh Allen.
I'm playing somebody in fantasy right now, and she beat me by 40 already, and Josh Allen still has to play.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
tough.
Those are the worst.
It was like 4:30 on Sunday, and I was like, "There's nothing I can do in this situation."
Yeah, that's just a tough look sometimes.
I just got to draft better. Big news though, Michael Thomas isn't playing because he punched a teammate.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah, he's not playing tonight.
I thought he was still injured. I didn't know that was why.
No, they suspended him for punishment because he punched a teammate.
I don't know what's going on with Michael Thomas. Ever since they lost that Vikings game, he's been off the rails.
Yeah, I think he'll reel it back in. I have faith in him. I also think, I don't know. But, yeah, that has been our Monday episode of Illini Drive on 107.1 WPGU. Tomorrow, you'll be joined with Josh and Gabby. Talk about Monday Night Football, preview the Tuesday night game, preview The Bachelor.
Oh, yeah. We'll be back Wednesday, though.
On Wednesday to talk about it. Don't forget it. But, yeah,
I really wish we could have Gabby for that one because I know she'd want to be there.
She's the Bachelor insider right now.
Can we get,
I want to see if we can get that studio to work, and maybe Gabby can sit in for like the first 5 minutes or something.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
I'll figure it out. I'll
Can we
text
be
some
correspondents if she's the main reporter? I guess.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I consider both of us correspondents of The Bachelor. But yeah, we just have to get the titles solidified with ABC.
There we go.
Make sure we get our pay and stuff like that.
Chris Harrison, we want the bag.
We do. I want my bag if I'm gonna be talking about it. But yeah, again, this has been a lot of Drive on 107.1 WPGU.